And we are back, and we just finished watching 1950s Harvey with a runtime of 1 hour and 44 minutes. This, according to IMDb, is rated approved, which I'm guessing is equivalent to a PG. There's nothing objectionable in this movie. There's no profanity or double entendre or any of that stuff.
No, none of that. I would say they're maybe the verbiage they use when referring to the mentally ill is outdated, but yeah, nuts.
Yeah,
schizos.
Yeah,
and those coming from the doctors. But this is not a serious film about mental illness or anything like that. This is a
fantasy comedy,
1950s era comedy that deals with potentially crazy people.
Yes, this is based off the play by Mary Chase by the same name. Also winner, I think Ben Mankiewicz said at the beginning of the Pulitzer or the
Pulitzer award winning
for literature. Yeah, for the play itself. I don't think I've ever sat through this film from start to finish. I think I've caught it in bits and pieces here and there, and obviously it's been parodied, I guess, or made reference to, or
has it been remade? I feel like there was a remake of it.
I think there have been. I think there have been mostly like TV versions of it. I think, again, Ben Mankiewicz said something about, I think there was like a Hallmark Channel movie of this in like the 80s. Quickly going through the IMDb page, I think, the wiki page, I think there was like even a Harry Anderson version.
Wow, Harry Anderson.
Yeah.
I'm guessing he was the Jimmy Stewart role.
Yeah. And I think Swoosie Kurtz played his sister in that version of it. So in this one, we meet Elwood P. Dowd, played by the always lovely James Stewart, the son, I guess, of a wealthy family who lives with his sister Vida and her daughter Myrtle May, and who also has befriended a 6'3" white rabbit named Harvey, who's his constant companion and also best friend, much to the chagrin of his sister and niece.
And nobody could see Harvey. He's invisible. Although some people do claim they catch glimpses of him. And there's a painting of Harvey.
Yes. And the viewer also, I guess, doesn't exactly see Harvey, but sees things in the wake, I guess, of Harvey's presence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, spoiler alert, this is a almost 75-year-old movie.
Plus-year-old movie, yeah.
Yeah, Harvey, it's definitely not a figment of Jimmy Stewart's imagination.
No,
they actually for something that came out a long time ago, they actually do delve into a little bit of mythology there. Yeah. And they say, okay, he's a puka, which apparently is a Celtic mythology spirit. It's sometimes mischievous spirit. It's like a fairy that takes the form of an animal, of a large animal.
Right.
And for Jimmy Stewart, it's the form of a really tall rabbit who apparently wears a bow tie and a belt.
Yes, from the painting.
From the painting, you see a bow tie.
And there was at one point a hat, because this is the 50s and men went out in their their suit and ties and hats, and there was a hat that had ear cutouts.
Holes. Well, that's the thing. He wherever Jimmy Stewart went. In fact, when his sister described how you'll be able to find him to the guy that was supposed to go look for him, he's like, he'll always be carrying an extra hat and a raincoat,
right?
Because apparently he had clothes for Harvey, although Harvey never actually
wore much.
Dons the hat and coat, but he's always got it ready for him because Jimmy Stewart is the nicest guy on the planet. Mm-hmm. That's his character. He is just the most. In fact, he says you could be two things in this world: smart or agreeable. I spent the first half of my life being smart, and now I just want to be agreeable. And he is agreeable.
Yes, to a fault.
To a fault. He's kind to everybody, and you could see like a window where people could probably take advantage of that, but it's not going to happen because of Harvey.
Harvey's there to protect. And does things to sort of protect.
Never anything, but never anything like, he's going to shove a guy in front of traffic or something like that. It's always just he'll arrange things so that basically Jimmy could live this life that he wants to lead.
Elwood.
Yes, Elwood. I'm used to calling Jimmy Stewart.
I think, well, also kind of in the case of Vita, he hides her coin purse so that she doesn't get to pay the taxi driver. And then the taxi driver, because
has to meet
Elwood has this conversation with him, she then becomes privy to this information that the driver had. And then she makes a decision in that moment.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
It's a fun little movie. It's not like the greatest movie I've ever seen, but it's cute. It's definitely
very cute.
This is something that we probably could have had the kids watch.
Fair.
But they hate black and white movies.
And I think the pacing might have been a little off for them.
Pacing's a little slow, and oh my God, G would have been enraged by
talking about the vernacular.
Not the vernacular, no. The doctor and
Miss Kelly.
Miss Kelly.
And I think most of the women. Them
especially.
Yeah.
Because the doctor is a know-it-all moron.
Yeah.
An absolute moron. Dr. Stevenson, is that his name?
Sanderson.
Dr. Sanderson. Worst doctor on the planet. For a psychiatrist, he is terrible.
Terrible.
He is just instantly ready to commit the sister.
Right.
Like he actually runs out of the room and he's like, "Where's Wilson?" Like he's like it's like he caught a fish or something and he needs somebody with a net to help him bring it in. He is like so excited that he's got a crazy person in his office. And then Nurse Kelly, Miss Kelly, she's just like half the time she's moon-eyed staring at Sanderson.
Yeah.
Like she's in heat. And then the other half of the time, she's like, well, you just don't know anything. Blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Oh, my God, Dr. Sanderson, you're so swell.
And then he, in the beginning, he was like, because they originally committed Elwood, which was correct. And he's like, oh, no, we're going to get in trouble because we should have committed the sister, because obviously the sister's the deranged one. And he's like, do you know what could happen here? And she's like, don't worry, I'll take the blame or something.
Something like that.
Yeah, and I was like, wait a minute. Take the blame. Let his ass take half of that, too.
He's the psychiatrist.
Yeah.
He's the guy who's supposed to understand the mental workings of people's minds.
Yeah.
And he's just the absolute worst. And let's be honest, Dr. Chumley is terrible, too. Because Dr. Chumley... They're like, oh, Dr. Sanderson sees everybody, and Dr. Chumley sees nobody.
Yeah.
He has a psychiatric hospital named after him.
Right.
And all he does is sit in his
office.
All he does is sit in his office and do nothing.
And also, what was his heart's desire? To go to Akron for 2 weeks with some beautiful woman?
With a woman whose name he didn't know.
Yeah.
And just drink beer while she held his hand and said,
I forgot.
Something like it's okay or something like that.
Yeah. I was like, what is going on 1950?
And Elwood's just like, won't that get boring after a while? And he's just like, no. 2 weeks of that solid.
All right, crazy pants.
That guy, there's something going on in his life. He's probably got a basement full of heads.
Yes. That's probably why he doesn't practice anymore. And I was like, yeah, wait, isn't he married?
He was not interested in his wife.
But that wasn't who he said he wanted to be with in Akron for 2 weeks.
A woman, a lovely woman whose name he did not know, and he just said one sentence over and over again.
So this film is about, it's interesting because I feel like originally the way this movie was marketed, or at least to me, it felt like it was marketed as, here's this crazy guy with this imaginary friend. Mm-hmm. So, and I mean, kind of like what you said, they do talk about the crazies and the schizoids and stuff like that.
Yeah, when Sanderson gets fired, he's like, I'm really going to miss this place. And Kelly's like, oh, everybody at this place? And he's like, yes, even the crazies and the schizos and the nutcases.
Yeah.
This is a doctor talking about his patients, and he refers to them as schizos. And she gets upset because he's
Wilson wasn't very nice too.
Wilson loved his job because I think he got to just beat people up.
Well, when he manhandles Vita in the beginning to bring her back
over his shoulder, he drags her inside, and then they're like, wait, we're gonna go get Elwood. He runs back inside, opens up the drawer and the receptionist desk. Which is where apparently they keep the sap that he's going to use to slam and knock somebody unconscious with.
Yeah, this is obviously before PC times.
No,
this is 1950s. Nobody gave a shit.
This was an old school psychiatric institute.
I mean, it wasn't as depressing as like the snake fit.
This looked lovely.
Yes.
Aside from the orderly just like whipping out a sap, getting ready to crack some skulls.
It wasn't like you were in the room with like all the patients in one area, right? It was just you were in the Chumley's office or Sanderson's office or the lobby area or the reception area or the room with the bathtubs, which was pretty funny. So I feel like this movie is about sort of that, like mental illness, but so peripherally, if that's
I think
that makes sense.
The mental illness aspect of it is just a ruse.
Yes.
It's a farce about just a guy who goes through life and is friendly and just being amiable, being polite, and how this one guy kind of brings everybody together.
Yeah.
And lets them see, okay, well, what exactly is wrong about this guy having a giant rabbit for a friend? Because he absolutely does no harm at all. In fact, he handles it quite well with everybody. Even when that dude took advantage in the beginning, when he goes to the bar and there's that guy at the end of the bar and he's like looking all weird because Elwood walks in, he sits down with Harvey, orders 2 martinis, and then that guy gets up to leave without paying, and the bartender's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And the guy says, "Oh, the rabbit at the end of the bar will pay for it.
I was gonna pay, yeah."
Elwood's just like,
he's happy to.
He's happy to.
Yeah.
Absolutely do no harm as far like he is the nicest, most and therapeutic guy of a film that has allegedly 2 psychiatrists in it.
Yeah.
Elwood's the guy who's actually listening to people and giving them advice and trying to make them happy, trying to make their lives better.
Yeah. He actually gets Ms. Kelly and Dr. Sanderson together.
Yeah. He pretty much just opens their eyes that they are a good couple together, even though they're actually not. That's a terrible relationship if I've ever seen one.
And also, even towards the end, when
Myrtle and Wilson too.
That too, but I was gonna highlight kind of what you just said, that he enables all of this goodwill. Even at the end, when it comes out that Vita wanted to have you committed. She brought the papers and everything. And he's like, "Oh, she's done a lot today." And she's upset and she's crying and he's comforting her.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to the formula, the 977 or 997,
yeah.
He's like, "Is this what you want?"
Yeah.
It's almost like he wants to make his sister happy at whatever cost.
Even if it means he'll never see Harvey again. And again, when Chumley is like, "Can he stay with me?" And he asks Harvey, he's like, "Is that okay?" He agrees to it.
Even though it made him sad.
And he walked away sad. Yeah. And obviously you get the happy ending.
Yeah.
But still, I'm guessing that because apparently Harvey can control time.
Right. So
I'm guessing he took him to Aspen for those 2 weeks.
Akron.
Yeah, I'm guessing he took him to Akron for 2 weeks.
Everybody wants to go to Ohio. Go figure.
Don't get on that Gen Alpha brain rot speech. Yeah, Ohio. Skibbity toilet.
Meow. Yes, see, we're hip.
We get it. We get it. I understood what all of that meant.
But so I think mental illness is just peripherally, but it's not really that. It's more this, I think, like you said, this man who enables all this good stuff around him by being a good person and putting that out in the universe and having it come back to him. Mm-hmm. And I think that at the end, his sister retrenches and really thinks about how this is going to impact her, because she's used to her brother. As crazy as it's made her, she doesn't want him to be different.
No.
And there's that line at the end, the cab driver, he's like, I'll take my money now because I know what this is like. Because when they come in,
back,
they're all happy.
Yeah.
But when they leave, they're not the same
yelling
people.
at me. Yeah. They don't give any tips.
He's like, they're normal. And you know what stinkers those people are.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that makes her just completely lose it. And she's like, no, not Elwood.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's perfect. As flawed as he is and as crazy as he's looked at by some people, it was fine. This was her brother. This was her baby brother, right? I think she said in the beginning. So I think that for the most part, she's dealt with this, and it's like it's an inconvenience that she's willing to put up with.
Yeah, I mean, what's the worst? That the society ladies will be like, oh, it's crazy.
Yeah. She doesn't care.
She
doesn't have to.
The only reason why she was doing that was to get her daughter married, and apparently
she liked Wilson.
She's got eyes for Wilson, like you
and Wilson's
believe.
For her.
Oh yeah,
he was pretty grabby.
Hey, Wilson, he walks into this. I mean, let's talk about that house.
Woo.
Gorgeous house.
Yeah.
Clearly, he's walking into money.
Yeah,
and then he sees the single girl she's no beauty queen.
No, she's no pinup girl.
Nobody's drawing her on the side of a World War II jet. But still, she's not bad. No, especially for him.
Yeah,
he looks like Mel Blanc.
Yes, he did. He did. But so everybody has a happy end at the end. Harvey stays with Elwood. Vita has her brother back. Myrtle May's got Wilson. Dr. Sanderson has Ms. Kelly. I guess Dr. Chumley went on his 2-week sabbatical. And Charlie's and the bartender made out because some of their favorite patrons are coming back.
They're all coming back because Elwood's there buying drinks for him and an imaginary rabbit.
Yeah.
Hey.
And other people. I'm sure he's generous. I mean, he paid for that guy's drink.
He spends. That's the thing. That's one of the reasons why the sister was like, he spends all day at bars.
Yeah.
Just talking to everybody, like ex-cons and anybody.
And just inviting them all over.
He invited the gatekeeper.
Yes.
He's like, we are a genius.
Yeah, you made this?
You made this?
Come on over.
Yeah, come on over.
I don't know anything about
Here's my card.
Yes.
Don't call this number. It's the old number. Like, what did that even mean?
And the taxi driver. Yeah, you and your brother in the rival taxi companies. Come on over for dinner. Yeah. I don't know anything about you. You could probably have severed heads in your freezer box, and I don't care. You seem nice.
No, I don't think Harvey would let anything like that happen.
Yeah, no, I think Harvey looks out for Elwood.
Another movie you get to probably see the dark side of Harvey when Elwood runs into the wrong kind of people.
I am surprised no one has done that yet. This is not a movie that...
this film is over 70 years old. It's in the public domain.
It's in the public domain,
yeah.
Totally come on, Hollywood. You like recycling stuff.
The Reckoning.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Make it like Highlander.
Yeah. Harvey 2, no more one. Mr. Nice Guy.
Yeah, we always talk about like these are the movies you should be remaking, right? Yeah, let's get on this. Let's get on the Harvey bandwagon.
Harvey 2, that rabbit's dynamite.
Or they just completely spin it around because like there's that genre of like horror movies where Winnie the Pooh's a psychotic killer. Maybe they make Harvey just go insane.
Harvey in there somewhere.
Yeah. Scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this film?
It's cute. I'd give it a 7.
I too would give it a 7. I think from where it starts to where it ends, it's very sweet. It's definitely a product of the time. I think everything.
I think this could be remade to be to fit a more modern. Obviously, we're joking about the bloodshed and everything.
Are we?
But you could probably redo this in a cute way.
Yeah, Disney. Yeah, you got the money. Get on this. Yeah. I feel like. I mean, stuff like this is ripe for being brought to a more modern audience with more modern themes. Maybe even like the idea of I don't know, fitting in, bullying, all that stuff that young people have to deal with, right? It could even be a younger protagonist than Elwood. In this, Elwood's in his 40s, right? He's a 40-year-old man.
Yeah.
But they could be a younger person. Yeah, I think the sky's the limit as far as that goes. And I really kind of like what you said before. I like the idea of incorporating the idea of the puka, the Celtic mythology creature.
Yeah, you don't really see that
stuff
in
like
any
that.
old films. It's just sort of like, this is the way it is, and that's it.
Yeah.
There's
yeah.
no weird supernatural, or
Well,
if there is a supernatural thing, it's just like, oh, we're ghosts and we like to drink.
Yes.
La, da, da.
Or, they're like elves, or not elves. What are those things? Leprechauns. Like I'm thinking about Darby O'Gill and the Little People. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of folklore in like Celtic culture, and like that's not something that we delve too much into. I'd be interested to see how this could be. I mean, it's funny. Speaking of our favorite genre, horror, we saw You Are Not My Mother, which is, I believe, Irish.
There you go.
But they were talking about the changeling lore. So that was interesting. That obviously had a more sinister bent to it. But something like this, where it's like some kind of mischievous little creature, well, not little, but gigantic animal creature.
But helpful and kind. Something
yes.
with like a positive bent. Like that,
Yeah.
that's the thing about this movie. It's a legitimate feel-good movie.
Yes, absolutely. And definitely lends into the idea of family fun entertainment. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I agree with you. This is something I would love for a studio to kind of bring back.
Yeah, just treat it, well. Don't resort to just fart jokes and
Agreed. Yeah.
garbage like that.
You know who what? What am I saying? You know who would be great at it? Paul King.
Yes.
That guy.
Yes.
In his hands, this would be something special, because he could have those tender moments and then that end scene that completely guts you.
Yeah.
Because that's what Paul King does. Seriously, I'm like, oh, I made it to the end of Wonka, and then boom.
All right. You got anything else?
No, that was it. Absolutely. We saw this on the TCM app, but it is available on platforms to buy, rent. And if you have premium, I think it's Hulu premium subscription. I'll definitely put it in the blurb. But definitely, this is one of those really fun, really sweet. If you are like us, older, I think this is a nice little trip down memory lane, seeing somebody like Jimmy Stewart in something like this.
Yeah, Jimmy Stewart's always good.
He is the everyman. He is the everyman.
That all shucks.
Yeah. He definitely pulled out the stops here. Well, it's funny because he can play that tortured guy who wants to do well, right? Like my favorite, obviously, It's a Wonderful Life. Here's George Bailey, who goes through all this adversity and then has this moment of crisis where he decides to do something that isn't great, and then is taught the lesson of what life would be like if he had never lived, which is not something that everyone has the luxury of.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so that's I mean, I love him as an actor. He always had like those big eyes, and just we recently saw him in Vertigo, where he plays Scotty Ferguson, crazy pants, and not in a good way, not in a good fun way like Elwood. Yeah, he's just one of those actors. Favorite.
He's got that iconic voice.
Yes.
Seriously, there's never going to be a Jimmy Stewart.
Never.
The mannerisms, the way he said everything.
Yeah.
Even when he's like in the bar and he's talking to Kelly and Sanderson, and he says, and the day wore on, and he's like, that sounds really nice.
Let me say it again.
I'm going to say it again. And the day wore on. And
yes.
It's just like,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. I think I don't know if you remember Premiere, the movie magazine. I don't even know if that still exists.
I remember it when I was in high school.
I had a subscription for several years, and I remember one time they did this thing where it was like old Hollywood and new Hollywood, and it totally makes sense that Jimmy Stewart and Tom Hanks were put on the same page.
Yeah,
that's definitely our generation's Jimmy Stewart. But still, I mean, not to take away from Tom Hanks, because he's also an unbelievable actor who has an amazing range as well, and also started in comedies, right? But there was just something so special about James Stewart. There just really, really was. And to see him, I think, in this type of role where it's kind of different than, like, he's always playing the earnest man who's trying to do the right thing and follows a very defined moral code of conduct. And here it's a little bit more silly and fun and humorous, but still heartwarming, I think. And I think that really propels this to that next level. And I encourage people, if you're a film student, obviously check this out. If you are older like us and like the nostalgia factor, definitely check it out. And studios, you recycle a lot of stuff. Take this and make it better. Absolutely. And that's it from us. And we will bid you all a
good night.
Good night.